Hey everyone, I'm Olivia Thompson. That was my wedding, and its chaotic aftermath. So let me fill you in. I'm a 28-year-old marketing executive, and I was absolutely ecstatic about marrying James, my software engineer boyfriend of 5 years. We were head over heels in love. But there was just one small hitch: his family. Sophia, I swear if Patricia makes one more passive-aggressive comment about my dress choices, I'm going to lose it, I groaned, collapsing onto my best friend's couch. Deep breaths, Liv. You've got this, Sophia soothed, handing me a much-needed glass of wine. Remember, you're marrying James, not his mom. I know, I sighed, taking a big gulp. It's just Patricia and Rachel are so possessive of James. It's like they can't stand the idea of another woman in his life. Have you talked to James about it? Yeah, but he just brushes it off, saying they're excited about the wedding. I don't think he realizes how weird they're being. I've been doing my best to involve Patricia and Rachel in the planning, hoping it might help us bond. But every little decision turned into a battle. One afternoon, I asked Patricia about centerpieces, showing her a few options I'd been thinking about. Oh, sweetie, those are quaint, she said, barely glancing at them. But don't worry, Rachel and I have some ideas that are much more suitable. I bit my tongue, reminding myself to pick my battles. But as the weeks passed, their behavior only got stranger. One day, I overheard them whispering in the kitchen. Are you sure about this, Mom? Rachel asked. Absolutely, it'll be perfect. James will love it, Patricia replied. When I stepped into the room, they clammed up instantly. Oh, Olivia, we were just discussing cake flavors, Patricia said, her smile too tight. I nodded, pretending to believe her. Later that night, I vented to James. Babe, I think your mom and sister are planning something. They're being so secretive. James just laughed it off. They're probably just planning a surprise for us. You know how they are. I wish I could share his optimism, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As the wedding day approached, it only got worse. Patricia and Rachel started canceling our planning meetings at the last minute, always with vague excuses. Sorry, dear, something came up. But don't worry, we've got everything under control, Patricia would say in that overly sweet voice that made me want to scream. I tried to stay focused on the excitement of marrying James, but a sense of dread kept gnawing at me. Something was definitely brewing. The night before the wedding, Sophie stayed over for some much-needed girl time. I can't believe I'm getting married tomorrow, I said, a mix of excitement and nerves bubbling up inside me. Sophia squeezed my hand. You and James are perfect together. Try not to let his family's drama get to you, okay? You're right, tomorrow is about me and James. Nothing else matters. I nodded, determined to stay positive. As I drifted off to sleep, I hoped whatever Patricia and Rachel were plotting wouldn't ruin our special day. Little did I know, I was in for the shock of my life. But that's a story for another time. For now, I was just a bride-to-be, dreaming of her happily ever after. The next morning, I woke up with butterflies in my stomach. Today was the day I'd become Mrs. Carter. As I stretched, Sophia burst into the room, already dressed in her maid of honor gown. Rise and shine, bride-to-be. It's your big day, she chirped. I couldn't help but grin. I can't believe it's finally here, Soph. As we started getting ready, my other bridesmaids arrived and the room buzzed with excitement, hairspray, and the pop of champagne bottles. But despite the happy chaos, I couldn't shake my unease. Has anyone seen Patricia or Rachel? I asked, trying to sound casual. My bridesmaid Emma piped up, Oh, I saw them earlier. They seemed excited about something. Probably just the wedding, I murmured, pushing down my anxiety. But as my makeup artist worked her magic, I caught a snippet of Emma whispering to Sophia. Did you hear about the surprise James's family is planning? My ears perked up instantly. Surprise? But Sophia quickly shushed her. Not now, Emma. I turned to face them. What surprise? Sophia plastered on a smile. Nothing to worry about, Liv. Let's focus on getting you ready. I nodded, but the knot in my stomach tightened as I slipped into my wedding dress. I tried to shake off the nagging feeling that something wasn't right. You look absolutely stunning, Sophia breathed, her eyes wide with admiration. I smiled at my reflection, pushing my worries aside. This is my day, I told myself, and nothing is going to ruin it. The ceremony began, and as the doors opened, I saw James waiting for me at the altar, looking as handsome as ever. My heart swelled with love. But as I started down the aisle, something caught my eye, two figures standing near him. My steps faltered as I realized it was Patricia and Rachel, both wearing white gowns that looked eerily similar to mine. Whispers rippled through the crowd, and my pulse raced. I locked eyes with James, who looked as shocked as I felt. The minister cleared his throat. Dearly beloved. The ceremony continued, but I felt like I was in a haze. I barely registered saying "I do" or even our first kiss as husband and wife. At the reception, I pulled James aside the first chance I got. "Did you know about this?" I asked, my voice tight. "Liv, I swear I had no idea," he said, wide-eyed. "I'm just as shocked as you are." Before I could respond, Patricia's voice boomed across the room. "Wasn't it just wonderful?" James wanted his two favorite women to share in the spotlight. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. James started to protest, but Patricia steamrolled over him. "Oh, sweetie, don't be modest. You told us how much you wanted us to feel special today, too." Rachel chimed in, a wide grin on her face. "We're practically sisters now, Olivia. Isn't it great?" I stared at James, silently pleading for him to say something, anything, but he just stood there, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Sophie appeared at my side, gripping my arm. "Let's get some air, Liv." Once outside, I finally let the tears fall. How could they do this? How could James let them? Sophia hugged me tight. "I don't know, sweetie, but we'll figure it out." Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "OMG, you won't believe what I just overheard Patricia saying." I looked at Sophia, a mix of dread and determination washing over me. "I think it's time we did some digging. This isn't over." As we walked back into the reception, I plastered on a smile, pretending everything was fine. The party continued around me, but inside, I was already planning my next move. Patricia and Rachel might think they'd won, but they had no idea who they were messing with. The morning after the wedding, I confronted James in our hotel room, my emotions a swirling mix of anger, hurt, and confusion. "James, we need to talk about what happened yesterday." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Liv, I'm so sorry. I had no idea they were planning that." "But your mom said you wanted it, said you wanted your two favorite women in the spotlight," I replied, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "That's complete bull. I never said anything like that. I'm as shocked as you are." I wanted to believe him, but doubt nagged at me. "Then why didn't you say something at the reception?" "You just stood there." I was in shock. I couldn't believe my own mother and sister would do that, he said, looking miserable. I paced the room, my wedding dress lying in a heap on the floor. "This isn't just about the dresses, James. It's about your family constantly undermining our relationship." I know, he said. "Look, let's cancel the honeymoon. We need to get to the bottom of this." I nodded, already texting Sophia. "We need to start digging." Over the next few days, Sophia and I turned into amateur detectives. We scoured social media, looking for clues. "Look at this," Sophia said one afternoon, showing me her phone. It was a cryptic post from Rachel. "Operation Whiteout is a go. Mom's genius plan is foolproof." Operation Whiteout? Are you kidding me? I fumed. We dug deeper, combing through James's family's business records. Something seemed off. "James, can you explain these financial reports?" I asked, showing him some documents, his brow furrowed as he flipped through them. "These numbers don't add up. There's money missing." As we investigated further, a disturbing pattern emerged. Patricia and Rachel had been siphoning money from the company for months. "I can't believe this," James muttered, his face pale. Then came the breakthrough. Emma, one of my bridesmaids, forwarded me a series of texts she'd managed to screenshot during the wedding. "OMG, Liv, you need to see these," Emma's message read. The texts were between Patricia and Rachel, outlining their plan to sabotage the wedding and drive a wedge between James and me. Patricia: "Once we show up in those dresses, Olivia will lose it. James will see how unstable she is." Rachel: "But what if James gets mad at us?" Patricia: "He'll get over it. We're his real family. That girl is just a phase." I showed James the messages, my hands shaking. "Your mom called me a phase, James. He looked like he might be sick. I can't believe they do this, all of this." We sat in stunned silence for a moment before I spoke again. "We need a plan. We can't let them get away with this." James nodded, a determined look in his eyes. "You're right. We need to be smart about this. If they've been embezzling, we need solid proof, I said, pacing the room. James nodded in agreement. We should hire a forensic accountant. They can trace the missing money. I grabbed my phone and called Sophia, putting her on speaker. Soph, we need your help. It's time to set a trap. Over the next hour, we pieced together a plan. We confront Patricia and Rachel, but not before gathering irrefutable evidence of their schemes. We need to get them to admit to sabotaging the wedding. On record, I said, feeling a mix of anger and determination. James reached for my hand. Whatever happens, we're in this together, right? I squeezed his hand back. Absolutely. They messed with the wrong couple. As night fell, we finalized every detail. Tomorrow, we'd start gathering the evidence. Patricia and Rachel were about to learn that their actions had consequences, and I was ready to fight for my marriage no matter what it took. The day of the confrontation arrived, and my stomach churned with anxiety. James and I walked into his family's home, a folder full of evidence tucked under my arm. Mom, Rachel, we need to talk, James said, his voice steady but firm. Patricia flashed a sweet smile. Of course, darling. What's this about? I laid the financial records on the coffee table. Let's start with the missing money from the company. Rachel's face turned pale, but Patricia scoffed. I don't know what you're talking about. Without a word, James pulled out his phone and hit play, letting the recording of their conversation about sabotaging the wedding echo through the room. Patricia's eyes widened in shock. You little sneak. She spat at me, her tone venomous. James, are you really going to let her treat your mother this way? James didn't waver. No, Mom, this ends now. We know everything. Suddenly, Rachel broke down, tears streaming down her face. It was all Mom's idea. She made me do it. Patricia gasped in disbelief. Rachel, how dare you? The room exploded into chaos, with Patricia and Rachel turning on each other, hurling accusations like daggers. James and I stood there, watching in disbelief as years of manipulation unraveled before our eyes. Finally, James spoke, his voice thick with emotion. I can't do this anymore. You're both out of my life. We left that day with heavy hearts but clear minds, determined to move forward. A fresh start was waiting for us in Seattle. Over the next few months, I threw myself into my career, eventually launching my own marketing firm. James focused on healing and reconnecting with his father, who had long been overshadowed by Patricia's domineering personality. One sunny afternoon, James burst into our apartment, waving his phone in the air. Liv, you won't believe this. He showed me the news. The family business had collapsed due to the embezzlement scandal, and Patricia and Rachel were facing serious legal consequences. I hugged James tightly. Are you okay? He nodded, a mix of relief and sadness in his eyes. Yeah, I think I am. As our first anniversary approached, we decided to renew our vows. The wedding we should have had from the start. Surrounded by true friends and supportive family, we stood under a floral arch in our backyard. I gazed into James's eyes, feeling overwhelmed by how far we'd come. This past year has been a roller coaster, but I wouldn't change a thing. It showed us how strong we are together. James squeezed my hands, smiling warmly. I love you, Liv. Thank you for fighting for us. Later, as we danced under the stars, I spotted Sophia chatting with James's dad. She gave me a thumbs up, and I couldn't help but smile. We'd been through hell, but we had come out stronger. Resting my head on James's shoulder, I knew that whatever life threw at us next, we'd face it together, free of toxicity, stronger than ever. The story of Olivia and James has come to an end, but now I want to ask you, if you were in Olivia's shoes, would you have forgiven Patricia and Rachel, or do you agree with the decision to cut ties completely? Have you ever had to choose between forgiveness and protecting yourself from toxic family members? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences and opinions could help others facing similar situations. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these compelling stories of triumph over adversity. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.